Hey guys, new topic today. Just a quick one. I've recently saw this article saying, or rather poll saying that only 1 in 5 software developers are happy either with their job or with their current employer, stuff like that. And this kind of like hit home with me because I can probably say that through through my like 10-year experience doing this job, it's probably been just a couple of times or maybe 2 to 3 years when I was actually enjoying what I was doing, and when I was actually not just enjoying the what but also the how, and the people that I was doing it with, right? And there are many factors to this statistic. The first factor I would say, and the most important one, is the sedentary lifestyle. So we as developers, we mostly sit on our butts for 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, depending on what we do, and how we do it. And this is definitely not a healthy lifestyle. I do feel you know quite down very often, and the only way to solve that is to actually engage in some sort of exercise, or just working, just doing manual labor like outside, right? So that is one of the reasons behind people not being happy doing this job, and it makes sense. And you know like biologically, it makes sense that this would be the case. Now that's the first and most important factor in my opinion. The second factor to all of this, and this is something that is going to probably be very how should I say this, not unpopular. It's going to be an unpopular truth. I consider it a truth. It is the absolute fact that most software that we work on, especially web developers, most of this software is just utter garbage that either nobody uses, nobody wants, or ultimately fails and just disappears, just goes out of existence, right? And this also has been the case with a bunch of the projects that I worked on personally, and also a lot of projects that you see online. Like, software comes and goes at an incredible pace nowadays, and most of it sadly is just shovelware. That's the truth of it, right? There cannot be as many good business cases that actually help regular people out. And this has also been a leading factor to the inflation, or rather costflation of software within the last decade or so, maybe 2 decades now. I haven't been around 2 decades ago, but within the last decade, I can definitely say that the need for useless garbage software has increased the costs of software tremendously, right? So this is also a big factor. These are kind of like the big factors that I'm thinking about. Now, the third big factor to software developers being miserable at their jobs is the how. And the people that you work with also tie in to the how. But basically, the how has devolved within the past decades, I would say, towards a lot more structure, a lot more rules, a lot more uh, just a bunch more work that you need to do, or that you have to be acquainted with. A lot of popular books have done this. A lot of best practices have done this. A lot of company demanding that you do unit testing, or that you do all sorts of, you know, the agile methodology. If you take it to the extreme, it becomes very annoying, just a complete waste of everybody's time. If you just actually hammer it home and you take it to the extreme, just like with Scrum, if you take that to the extreme, it just becomes annoying. You only have meetings after meetings. And so the how of doing software development has also made people miserable. And it's all being done under the guise and not under the very mistaken concept of extra security and extra safety, and we're going to make better software more secure, and it's complete bullshit. Software has gone down in quality, software security has gone down, software safety has gone down, and this is in part to everything being digitalized more or less, but it's also in part to all of these practices that in reality they just open up the avenues of attacks for attackers. If you know how people are testing, deploying, integrating their software, you know specifically how to attack it, right? The more popular something is and the more it is being used, the broader the spectrum of attacks that you have on that thing. And this is perfectly shown with Windows, and how Windows, at least for the for whole decades, the 90s, the early 2000s, Windows operating system was a shit show. You would essentially be getting, at some point, you would be getting a bunch of malware and Trojans and worms and all sorts of viruses be thrown at you as a Windows user compared to Linux or Mac. And that was because people knew how Windows worked, and Windows was ubiquitous, and all the safeguards that they were putting in place and trying to have in order to make Windows better were actually its own downfall, right? As soon as you talk about something and how it's made, people will know how to attack it, people that want to attack it, right? And so it's the same with most software today that is being specifically written as better easier to manage, easier to change, easier to test, easier, more secure. That's all kind of bullshit, because all of these practices are they're out there for everybody to see, and that opens them up to more issues. But anyway, these are like the main three factors. So to recap, it's the health aspect, the fact that we're sitting on chairs in front of screens for a lot of time. That is definitely number one in my book. Then it's the sense of actually achieving anything. And most software developers, specifically web developers, do not feel like they're achieving anything. They're just making shovelware, and the shovelware keeps changing. And then there is also the how it's the encumbered and very difficult means of making the software, and how long it takes you to actually go to production and to feel that little bit of joy that it's very reduced, it's a very small amount, but in order to get that little bit of joy that you actually did something, you have to fight weeks. You have to be in code design and code review and testing. It takes weeks, if not months, most of the time, to actually get a minor feature out, which is, it's crazy to me. And so yeah, those are the three that come to my mind. Anyway, thanks for watching. This was a bit longer than I wanted to, but I've enjoyed it, and see you guys next time. Take care.